Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Queer Abbey, a weekly chat show that is performed, recorded, and produced by yours truly. Yay! Welcome to the 7th episode, y'all. How exciting! I just had my 24th birthday. Yes. That was super fun. I celebrated with one of my lovely friends, and we had a pretty relaxed celebration. We got ready together, went and ate some fattening food and did karaoke, and that was so fun. There was this really funny character that we encountered when we were at the karaoke bar. Let's call her Trisha. And Miss Trisha was this very gorgeous redhead. She was towering in height with bodacious curves, Zaftig shaped. And so we became fast friends. I was like, oh girl, you look so cute. And then she was really nice to me back. But then she starts with all of this. I'm actually a music teacher and I've been singing for years. And so I'm just, excited to get up there and sing. And I said, oh, all right, Miss Honey, Miss Thing, I can't wait to see. And she gets up and does the most interesting and, dare I say, awkward performance of Blinded by the Lights by The Weeknd. And not to be mean-spirited, but it was just so funny. She gave herself like an introduction because she was just visibly very nervous. And she goes, hello, happy Friday, everyone. Portland, it's a beautiful city. Creative city. And that little line right there just kind of sent me. And then she did a very mid performance, and then but she was really nice. So I'm not trying to be evil. I just maybe if you go to a karaoke bar, do not tell everybody that you're a really good singer before you go. Wait until you do a good job and then maybe announce that afterwards. I feel like I do kind of a poor job every time because I get a little drunk and then I'm like, baby, it's time to sing, and then it's not as good as I want it to be. But that's honestly a part of life, accepting the flawed nature of your behavior. I did have a good time anyway. I got up, I sang 2 songs. I sang Santeria by Sublime and Nature Boy by Nat King Cole, and I did a much better job on Nature Boy, but Santeria is kind of high in my vocal range, so I was literally like you get drunk Wilson trying to belt, and yeah, the vocal tension sounds pretty bad. Oh well. I moved down the street from a place that has karaoke, which is really convenient for me. It's something I've been wanting to stoke myself to go do more because it's really fun. I really enjoy watching other people sing as well, and like hyping people up and being their little chorus is very cute. There were some other people, on the contrary, that were just so good. I was like, girl, what are you doing here? Get out. Go after me. Chapel Roan was a really popular choice that evening as well, which is kind of cute. Watching her burgeoning success has been kind of heartwarming to me for some reason. Pink Pony Club. Funny enough, I had heard many of her songs, but not that one, which is one of her early hits. And someone sang it, so I got to hear it for the first time, and it was so sweet. It's about being like a Midwestern girl and having big dreams and moving to LA. This very accessible sort of premise for a song, but it has a very personal stamp on it, the way that Chapel Roan writes it, and she usually performs it really differently, as I've seen different like clips and stuff. So cool. Jury Laper. Spoiler alert for the advice segment coming up, got like the longest submission from somebody. I'm sure you're probably listening. So before we get into that, let me just preface and say I do not give medical advice on this podcast, unfortunately. Like, I'm not a doctor, so any submissions that concern important questions or like medical advice, I don't have any choice to be a little vague about that because I really don't want to be responsible for any, negative thing happening to somebody. Specifically, it's about like pediatric care, which I thought was interesting. That's not something that anybody that works in this podcast is very qualified to speak on. But I will tell you what I think, though. So, yay. We got to normalize not lying when you don't know something. Like what I just did. Like, I don't know about pediatric health. So why would I, like, tell somebody something with like full confidence or like this fake confidence that like, oh, this is what I think you should do, when I really myself don't feel like I have that qualification. It's a skill in life to recognize your shortcomings or see where you need to learn. That's how growth occurs, That's something I've observed a lot being an older student in college, actually, watching people struggle to hold space for not knowing things, especially since I switched my major to audio engineering, like production stuff, because it's a very, what am I trying, like technical, skill set. And people are highly embarrassed and shameful about not knowing things that they feel like they're supposed to know. And it's kind of hard to watch because it's like, girl, we're all in college to learn. But how quickly that goes out the door with the social political atmosphere that we exist in, It's like, I'm supposed to know this and I feel like an idiot for asking questions. But yeah, I would encourage you to seek knowledge instead of seeking a good answer. You know what I mean? Oh, wait. Going back to birthday time, because my sweet friend listens to this podcast, Ashland, you did such a good job at karaoke. My friend, whom is just convinced that they can't sing, got up and did just a bang up job singing some like very different material. They did like a doo-wop kind of song. It's called Teenager in Love. It was so sweet. And then they also did the My Chemical Romance song. It's like a little bit of a meme, Kryptonite. But they killed both songs, and I was so proud of them and honestly surprised because they're always telling me like, oh, I wish I could sing. I wish I could sing. I wish I knew about music. And fucking they can. So I guess on the other hand, to being humble about what you don't know, sometimes I guess the problem is that we're just convinced we can't do things and it's just all in our head, Singing is very much that way. I mean, it's a behavior that is driven by your bodily responses, by your relationship with your physical reality. And so it's intermingled with all of the other planes of your physical reality, all of the trauma that you keep in your body, all of the stress and muscular tension from moving and working. All of those things play into when you try to sing, because you're using your muscles and your breath in order to towards a focused goal. You're thinking, I want to sing this song, I want to sing this pitch and this rhythm at this time on this vowel, and having that level of control over your body as a result of being extremely settled into that, and grounded. And it's hard. It's so hard. So funny enough, it's like the more you release and let go, the more you can kind of have control in that context, which is, it's not something I have mastery over for sure, but it's something I'm becoming aware of in my life, and it's very interesting. Parallel to my journey of not parallel, it's the same thing. My journey of learning about my body and thinking about my experiences and how they've shaped me into the person that I am, it reveals that kind of information, like where I'm like, oh my God, when I sing, I am tapping into my awareness of my body at the deepest level, in a way. So anyway, Miss Ashland, good for you. You bitch. Creative City. Mm-hmm. Well, that seems like it's about time to get on to our advice segment of the evening. Hold on to your horses and get ready for some advice. Alrighty, jumping right into it for the podcast. So, the first listener, an anonymous submission, said, Queer Abbey. Me and my partner, well, actually, let me say first, this one's so long, so I am going to paraphrase it. But like I said earlier, this is the one that's about pediatric care. We're just starting off with that. Queer Abbey. Me and my partner / girlfriend / fiance / soon-to-be wife need your assistance / advice / help / tips / tricks / tools / ideas / info / opinions / thoughts / feedback / support / guidance / your experiences. I'm not kidding, that's what it says. I'll stop. There's more like slashes, but they were wondering if I took like couple submissions, which of course I do. That's totally fine. And they said that they're both expecting their very first child, this couple from the UK, and they are hoping to have more children even in the future. Their first question was regarding how to bond with the baby during pregnancy, so like interacting with the baby bump and like playing music and things of that nature. And then there was several questions entrenched in this email. After that, it was about baby books that I would recommend. Then the next question were all the next questions were regarding how to like bond with the child and make them laugh, what toys are good, and they even asked what programs or television shows I would recommend for a child. It's just extremely comprehensive questions. They're like, should I blow raspberries on my child's belly in order to make them laugh? Is that acceptable? So, okay, I'm going to stop there. It's a very long email. It's all about how to raise a child. And, like I already told you, that's not something I have any empirical advice about. I'm not a parent. Nobody that helps edit this podcast is a parent. But what I can tell you is that you're asking questions that you probably already have the answer to, and that could be for a variety of reasons, right? Maybe it's just to feel connected to this moment on this podcast. Maybe it's coming from a genuine sense of worry about being a parent, but there was some reason that you reached out with all of those questions to me. So I feel the need to respond, Nobody's going to be able to take the reins for you as a parent. And if you have a baby on the way, like you said, and you desire to have more children, I think it's important to foster a sense of awareness over that, about where you're looking for help and where you draw your energy from. You know what I mean? And nobody's perfect, right? I think every parent on some level probably strives to be good to their children. And that's why you're asking these kind of questions, because you clearly want to be a good parent. So allow yourself some grace. It's okay that you don't already know all of these things, just like we were getting at earlier. Like, I don't know exactly what to tell you, and that's okay too. But what I can do is Google like parental resources in the UK, and what that garners is there's organizations like Family Lives. That's an organization that has a hotline, and they provide information and support to parents and families. Their number is 0808 800-2222. I'm assuming that they just provide services to families in the UK, but that's somewhere that you can call and ask these questions. You can also go to Parent Kind. That's a secondary organization that has a similar motive. They provide learning resources and support to parents. So, yeah, there's always help available. We don't live in a vacuum, and I think it's really easy to get in our head about what other people are going to think about something that hasn't even happened yet. You know what I mean? Like you're worried about all of these very specific scenarios of having a child and wondering like, how am I going to handle this when this happens? But at some point you just have to take things as they come, you know? And like I said, allow yourself grace. Yay. Maybe the one thing I could provide specific advice about would be books. I think that it benefited me greatly to start reading at a young age. My parents had like juvenile literature around Dr. Seuss and other things of that nature that I started reading before school age when I was like 4. And yeah, I just fostered this love of reading. Part of it was trauma-based too, because I was like dissociating and reading all day. But then I got into Artemis Fowl and Percy Jackson and all of these other lovely series that brought a lot of joy to my childhood. So I think like mythology and then other phantasmical fictional works can be really fun to get into as a child, and I think they stimulated my vocabulary and imagination a lot. So those are the kinds of things I would maybe recommend to you. And with that, we shall move on to the next submission. The second submission this week is Queer Abbey. I'm a 31-year-old male, and I've been into collecting figures of Marvel/DC or anime figures since the pandemic. I was once an avid collector, and I have a lot of exclusive and cool figures. Lately, I feel like I have outgrown them, and I want to either sell them or trade them off. I no longer have the space for them, and most of them end up in storage. I can't even display them properly or have them in view to enjoy them. Another reason is that I'm also having issues at home which are completely unrelated to the hobby. No financial issues, but constant tussles between other members of my household, which is eating away at my peace. I feel claustrophobic with the figures in my room, and instead of admiration and inspiration, I feel the need to pack them all up and sell them. So should I wait for this stressful time at home to pass, or should I move on? Well, okay, that is an interesting question. I have recently grappled with sort of a similar issue where I had to move all of my stuff and think about some of the things that I wanted to part with, some of my, objects that I feel bonded with. And that can be a really hard thing to do sometimes because, like you said, you look to your figurines for admiration and inspiration, or you admire them rather, but things don't always serve us. I don't think it's inherently bad to have stuff or collect stuff or even to have a lot of stuff, but our perspective and relationship with having stuff is what can get kind of sick, I think. However, the alarming part of your submission is not that you have a lot of figurines. That's fine, and in fact it sounds like that's something that maybe makes you happy. I did notice that your distress is about your housing situation, your relationship with your household, rather than like anything stemming from the figurines themselves. So if I can go ahead and just be invasive and give a pretty specific answer, I think that you should direct your attention towards your home relationships and dynamics instead of your relationship with your figurines. Maybe it's a little bit more controllable and accessible to think about the objects in your room, or for me, like I like sometimes get really caught up in cleaning and trying to control my environment when I'm really stressed, because there are some situations that you just feel a total lack of control over, right? Like, especially with the people you live with. I can definitely relate to that. When you feel bitter at people, or there's a building sense of resentment and you can't resolve it in a way that feels viable to you, you kind of just operate and like get it out in other ways. And I think, yeah, controlling your stuff and your environment is probably your reaction to not having control over another situation in your environment. I could be wrong. Maybe you just have a cluttered room and that is contributing to your stress. Because I will say, I do know how good that feels, just to like be free from your stuff. Like, we don't really need all of the accoutrements and tchotchkes and things that we drag along with us in life. It's not inherently evil, but I think it can really catch us up and weigh us down, literally, when we have all of these things that we think we need to survive. What a privileged problem to have, though, having too many figurines or having to give away some of my clothes because I have too many. Maybe let's stop and be grateful before we move on for that. Moving on to our third submission for the evening. Queer Abbey. How do I approach this situation with my friend? So, one of my friends who I've known since I've been a kid has always been a bit off and on with texting. He'll have periods where he doesn't respond or does so very infrequently. Since he moved away to college, he's understandably gotten busier, so I understand a lack of responses in messaging. However, in the past several months, it's gotten terrible. I messaged him in March and he didn't respond until mid-May. I text back and nothing. I text again and nothing. Again and nothing, until he responds late June saying we should meet up. I'm just a bit frustrated. Well, that's understandably upsetting. I think everybody and their mother has been in that scenario with a friend, a partner, loved one, even family member, where you just want to connect with them or talk to them, and you reach out, and to your chagrin, they just have a really poor communication back to you. My advice to you would be to listen to people when they indicate things to you, even when it's not with their words or with their text messages. If somebody doesn't text you back, it's because they didn't text you back. There may not be an extremely specific reason for it, but you can infer that they're busy, they didn't want to, they're doing something else. It's pretty much that simple. And I don't mean to be mean-spirited. It's just you can't control other people, and it brings us a lot of suffering when we try to. People show you with their behavior what they want from you and what they think of you. So you can do the same thing. I mean, you can continue to be kind and indicate that you want to be friends. You can always ask the question, like, did I do something to upset you? Because that could always be the case too. But more than anything, I think it's important to take people's actions at face value. Yeah. Well, I also don't know the gravity of this situation whatsoever. I'm kind of assuming from the wording of this submission that it might have a romantic air to it, but you did say friend, right? Yeah, best friend. So, well, okay, yeah, but is this kind of scenario where it's like the best friend that you're in love with and you're being like kind of controlling and can't accept that they are growing distant to you? Oh no. Hope not. Now it's up. Well, yeah. My advice to you is to get real, babes. Get real. Or not. Be just unreal. And with that, that's going to conclude our advice segment for the evening. Thank you. Yay! Thank you to the people that submitted this week. And this is your reminder that if you would like to be featured on the podcast, you can put your submission in through our anonymous inbox. That's the most popular option. It will be linked in the description of this episode. You can just fill out that Google form. You don't need to provide any personal information. You just type a little paragraph and hit send, and it sends it to my little inbox. Or you can leave us a voicemail if you are feeling personal at our phone number, which is 503-567-2053. Or you can even send us an email at queerabbey@gmail.com. That's QUEERABBEY@gmail.com. Once again, thanks to, this is our 7th episode, so all of the folks that have contributed to this podcast, I really appreciate you. It's been so fun to give my unwarranted and unprofessional advice to you. So I have a very lovely musical spotlight in store for you this week. If you like grungy, dreamy, beachy rock, then you're really going to enjoy Spooky Boys. It's a group that is local to the Portland area. My contact with them is an old friend and ex-coworker of mine named Danny. And the band is also comprised of several other members. You've got Calvin, Chris, and Skylar in addition to Danny. And they make up the Spooky Boys. They have some very successful singles out on Spotify. As always, their song that I'm featuring will be linked in the episode description. They just released this one. It's called Cellophane. It's this really awesome, like I said, dreamy is a really good way to describe this kind of sound. It's this guitar-y, not synthy, but like very textured kind of rock sound. And it doesn't really need that much setup. Let's just get right into it. This is Cellophane by the Spooky Boys. Bitch, you're kidding. So, yeah, Danny is a really lovely guitarist, and obviously all of the other bandmates are very talented too. If you see what I meant earlier by guitar-y, almost synthy, dreamy, all of those adjectives, there's this really, like, oh gosh, crunchy is not a good word, like thick texture, the way that the song has been mastered. If you recall from a couple episodes back, the song Heat by Fever Dream, the band that's comprised of my friend Katie and their partner, it has sort of that similar quality, that like dream grunge rock, where it's really but it was actually mastered by the same person, I noted. So I think that might be a little bit of a feature of Amy Dragon, is a local mastering engineer, and they, it seems they have that kind of character to their sound. Anyway, it's just really cool. The vocal line is great. It's that almost kind of like Vampire Weekend 2000s, like aloof, cool, really, really interesting sound. So Congratulations, Spooky Boys, on another very successful single. And I would encourage all of my listeners once again to go check out their Spotify. Go listen to their other songs as well, because all of their stuff is really cool. Yeah, we love music. They also play shows around Portland, so if you're one of my Portland pals, you should go see them live. Well, y'all, this has been an interesting episode. It's kind of late at night, so I'm like tired, maybe a little bit rambly, but maybe that's kind of fun. Or not. Who knows? But you made it to the end, so thank you for that. Until next week.